Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at AGIX. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Before we jump into the shorter term counts here, what we're going to be discussing is the two macro possibilities that I'm currently looking at. Make sure you check the macro video, which will be linked up above for more information. But effectively, there's two ways we're looking at this. So we have the higher time frame impulse, which is looking at this move as this is 1, 2, this all is a 3 here, treating this as a fourth wave, and then we're still looking for this possibility of this fifth wave to the upside here, of this 164 to this 94.50 region. Now, the support zone that we're looking for this as a fourth wave is this 1569 to this 3381. Obviously, we are well within this now. This 1569 would be a lower level that we don't really want to cross. Now, if we do actually lose this 1569, technically speaking, we could still look to find support within this region here of this 1563 to this 06790. And what we could then be arguing is that this is 1, 2. We have another 1, 2 here, and then we'd be setting up for a bigger move to the upside. So that would be looking at this in that bullish way. The alternative way that we could look at this is that this has just been a corrective move to the upside, and we would be treating this move here just as an A, a B, and then this is a C wave to the upside. Now, if this is the case, what we could actually see is price start to reject to the downside, and what I'd be looking for here would be potentially this target here of this 1-to-1, which would be this 0.33362 and this 0.1055. Now, this would be a minimum requirement of this as a structure to the downside, but it would be more likely that we'd actually see one of these lower targets. If we start to break down below these lows, what we'd be looking for is this 0.165 to this 0.052 region. So we'd be looking for this bigger push to the downside. So with that said, we're going to go over the bullish count now. So looking at this idea of the fourth wave here, one way that I'm looking at this is that potentially this move is a W, X, Y, X, and Z. So now we're going to come in a bit closer here and we're going to focus in on this. So if we are looking at this as an X wave here, potentially what we could see is that this is done enough that we could have completed this as an ABC to the downside. We'll be treating this as an A, triangle as a B, and then the C wave down. Now we've come down here towards the 1618 of this Y move, but we haven't actually crossed it. As well as that, we've come past the 0.618 of this W wave, so technically speaking, it is possible that this is completed. Now, what we need to be mindful of here is that if we just see a 3-wave move to the upside, which fails to take this X wave here at this 33.38, we could actually be looking for this continuation to the downside in an ABC. So the rejection zone for this would be this 288 to this 2210. So I have put this 382 on the board here just because sometimes we will see a shallow retracement, particularly within corrective waves. We can see this happen where this B wave might actually be over here, in which case what we'd be looking for is actually this target here of this 1-to-1. If it is a 1-to-1 at this 1140, or the minimum requirement, which would be a lot more interesting to me, would be this 0.618 here at this 0.1468 region. So that would be looking to push us back down towards this 1-to-1 level that we have here. So if we do see price look to break down in this way, what we could see is this actually, continue down, though we need to be cautious because we could actually be looking to complete here. Now, there is also a possibility that we could have this X wave still playing out here, and we could actually see something rather in the form of a flat playing out, where we could still be within the X wave, where this becomes A, B, and C, because within this count, we can potentially count this as a bigger impulse, but we could also just use this as a triangle in the middle here. And if this is a triangle, it can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So because of that fact, we could actually look to reverse. Now, this would actually mean that we're going to hold this 1716, and for as long as we hold this level, what we could be doing is looking to form 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and 5, looking for this C wave to the upside. So some target areas for this would be the 1-to-1 of the A wave, which would be this 2534. We have the 1236 at the 2778. 1382 is 2940, 1.618 is this 3222. Now, this would be interesting to me if we did see this bigger push to the upside here, because this could actually bring us back into this channel and look to actually sweep this A wave high. Now, this would still be looking for continuation then if we saw this, and this would just be either a bigger W, an X, and a Y, or like I said, this could be W, X, Y. We get a flat as another X, and then another Y wave, another Z wave to the downside here at a later date. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that, see whether we continue to hold this low. If we do start to push up in a 5-wave move, this could either mean that we have a flat here, or this could become 1, 2, and then we're looking directly for that push to the upside. But we don't have enough information to confirm that yet. If we were looking for that possibility of a break from this current area, we would want to look at it in this. So we're going to go over the lower time frame. breakout potential, which would look like this. So what we'd be looking for is this move can potentially be counted in two ways. We could count this as A, B, and then we're looking for a C wave. Alternatively, we put this A over here. And what we have is a complex move here for a B wave, where this becomes A, B, and then C to the downside. Now, if this is a C wave, we would potentially be arguing that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rather, and this would be looking at this as 1, 2. So this is possible as a count, but at the moment I'm just treating this like this because it would make a lot more sense if this was just a corrective move up here, looking for that possibility of just forming a correction up. Now, if we do manage to push up here, and we get this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I'd be looking for is holding this zone of this 1986 here, and then looking to push to the upside in a fifth wave. Starting to lose this 1986 would mean it's more likely that this is not actually a fourth wave. However, we couldn't rule out the idea that this is 1, 2, 1, 2. So if we do lose this 1986, potentially we could still find support above this 1912. As long as we're above this 1912, we do have that potential that we could start to see price escalate to the upside, where we'd get this as another 1, 2, then we get a 3, 4, 5, and another fifth wave to the upside. Then effectively, if we start to form something like this, it starts to become more likely that this is a 1, 2, this all becomes a 3, 4, 5, and this would mean that we're actually looking to push up in a bigger way. Now, given the current structure and measuring it as this move, as a wave, that 1618 would be up here. However, if we lower this down into this region here, 1618 would be here towards this 2442. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this. If we do start to escalate to the upside here and we start to break back above that level, we could actually see a 5-wave move developing. But until we do, I'm treating this as corrective. Now, looking at the bearish count, what this would be saying is that we actually have a high in place here and we're looking to break down in a bigger 5-wave move. So the thing with this is we'd have to count this as 1, 2 as a flat, and then we would be within this bigger third wave to the downside. Now, technically speaking, we've done enough to complete this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is possible as a completed move. You know, we could also argue that this is A, B, and C, and that could be a corrective move. So we're going to have to see whether we get this additional fourth to the upside and this fifth down here. It's not my preferred way to count this as an ABC, just because this would have been so much longer than the A wave here. It just really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If it's going to be something like that, it would be more likely it's that other corrective structure that we discussed. Now, if we are looking at this in this way, where we're saying that, you know, this is a fourth and a fifth, we've come down into that target box area that we had here. So what I want to see is how we react from this point, because there is potential that we could argue that we are looking for this fourth wave, but we could also argue that within here there's some extension. We can count this as a completed move as 1, 2, 3, triangle as a fourth, and then a fifth wave that is extended, and that could actually, you know, mark this fifth wave location. So now what we need to see is that if this is a 5-wave move down here, how do we react to the upside? If we just get a 3-wave move up here that fails to break above this 3162, what we could actually see is price start to break down again. And now the lower range of this would be this 2270, so I would still be keeping an eye on that possibility of seeing a move up into these zones. And if we're treating this as a flat, what I would actually be anticipating here would be a more simple move like a zigzag or a member of the zigzag family. What I'd be wanting to see is something like this as a 5-wave move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looking to actually come back and target up higher here towards this 50%. This is a common area for a zigzag within a fourth wave to target. So that would be this 3162. So we're going to have to see with this, technically speaking, as long as we hold this low point, we could actually still be looking for that idea of that direct push to the upside. So the key area that I would actually be looking at here within this count is actually holding this 1844. If we hold that 1844, what we could still see is, like I said previously, that we could have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, in which case what we'd then be looking for is, you know, an additional 3-wave move down and then that continuation to the upside. So we're going to have to keep an eye on it and see if that actually develops. Okay, so if this fifth wave is not completed, however, what we could see is that there is actually some extension within the waves. So this would actually look at this move extending out, where we have this as 1, 2, 1, 2, and then what we'd be saying here is that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this would be looking for the idea that as long as we actually fail to break back above this 2184, what we could start to see is a 5-wave decline, looking to target out this 1621 to this 1477. If we do see price start to break down in this way and we start to form a 5-wave structure here, this would tie us in for the idea of getting an additional 4th and a 5th here, which would be looking for this 1479 to this 1356 as a possible target area. Now, if we did find a 5-wave move down like this would actually tie into that idea of rather having the 5-wave structure taking place. Then we'd have to be on the lookout for that possibility of this additional 4th and a 5th. Really, if we are looking at the idea of this being a a 4th wave here in the bigger picture, I don't really want to see us lose that 1589 level. Starting to lose this area here puts that bullish count in a dangerous position and makes it more likely that we're rather going to invalidate that count. Okay, so we're going to go over some levels now, and what I want to talk about is this, that if we do look to push down lower here one more time, I would be keeping an eye on this point of control at this 1687, as well as that lower down here we do have this value area high at this 1498. So if we do see price continue to push to the downside, what we could see is a reaction off some of those levels. Having a look at the daily CPR here, what we can see is that we're currently settling above these CPR lines. If we do continue to hold these, what we could see is that price could be gravitated back up towards this S1 line here at this 20 cent 83. If we do look to continue up, where we're looking at that idea of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, what we could see is this S2 line getting targeted here at this 2160, S3 at this 2268, and this S4 here towards this 2348. So if we do see price start to move up here, potentially we could see some interaction with these levels. This S2 would be interesting as well, because it would be bringing us back into some of this previous highs over here. If, however, we do start to lose this area and we start to lose these central lines, or we could see as price actually move down to this R1 line, which would still keep that idea alive of that 1212. But if we start to lose that, we could actually see price come down towards this 1786, this 1708, and this 1594 area. So need to keep an eye on those levels. Looking at the weekly CPR here, what we can see is that we actually have been rejected off of this bottom line here. Now, if we do see price actually start to fall away here and we start to lose those daily CPR lines, what becomes more likely is we're going to see price actually continue to break down. Now, this 1500 area is actually this R1 line, which would be sitting here. Now, if we do see this actually break down here, that could tie in with that idea of that additional 4th and a 5th. So I'd be interested to see how we react on that level. If we look to break down deeper, we have the R2 line here at this 0994, and then we have the R3 line way down here at this 0277. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to hit these, but these are just interesting areas that we could see price pivot from. Now, as well as that, if we did actually see price push to the upside and we look to regain these CPR lines, what we could actually see is, pushbacks through these levels. We could see price get gravitated to this S1 line at this 2717. We have this 3430. And we have this 3929. So this would be areas we could look as potential pivot points above us. Now, if we come here onto the monthly, what we can see is that we actually reacted off of this R2 line. And now what I want to see is, if price manages to push back to the upside here, this R1 line could actually act as resistance at this 24 cent region. If we do see price push up here, this could act as a rejection area if we're looking for that continuation to the downside. Or alternatively, if we do look to push back up, we do have the central CPR lines here at this 2793 and this 2941. So I would be interested to see how we react around those levels if we do look to push back up here. If we did have to manage to get back above these, we could see this S1 come in at this 3485, this S2 at this 3943, and this S3 at this 4562. Interesting areas just to keep an eye on as price develops. Now, if we do look to continue to reject down here, this R3 line would be interesting to me at this 1330 and could actually mark a potential area where we could see that 5-wave structure look to complete, if we are looking at that as a breakdown for that 5th wave. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.